The present-day Evangeline aka McDowell reveals that she's a vampire, but goes by the name Yukihime. She lives with a boy named Tota Konoe, who is Negi's grandson. She's a teacher at his school, but Tota and his friends don't like that she's so strict with them. They try to fight her, but she uses magic to defeat them every time. We learned that Tota had lost his parents in a car accident and has no memory of the event. He visits his parents' graves and has a vision of Negi telling him to meet him at a tower named the Orbital Elevator. A teacher named Tachibana offers to teach magic to Tota's friends, but Tota doesn't seem to have an affinity for it and is given a band instead. Later at night, Tota is caught by Yukihime while he checks out the band, so he gives it to her as a present. The next day, Toto's friends attack and trap Yukihime, but then Tachibana appears and reveals that he's a bounty hunter. He knocks down the students and says that the band Yukihime is wearing was a trap to steal her power. Tota tries to save her, but Tachibana seemingly kills them both. However, they are both shown to be alive as Yukihime is an immortal and had turned Tota into one as well. She tells him to drink her blood and he gains powers after doing so. Tota battles Tachibana and defeats him, after which he sees a young girl before passing out. Yukihime wakes him up the next day and they decide to leave town because of the danger surrounding them. On their way, Yukihime tells Tota that he will forever be at the age of 14 as he's immortal now. He tries to distract himself in a pond but bumps into Kuromaru, who he mistakes to be a woman. Kuromaru says that he's an immortal hunter and is going after vampires like Evangeline. However, he's also shown to be an immortal as she kills him easily and he springs back to life. Kuromaru remains insistent on killing Yukihime, so she makes him fight Tota first. They engage in a fierce battle, and Tota eventually wins, after which he makes Kuromaru become his friend by signing a blood contract. The group goes to a spa, and Tota notices the same girl from before when he had passed out. He learns that she is actually Yukihime in her true form, and that she uses aging medicine to look older. They get into a silly battle after that, and it makes Kuromaru smile. Yukihime decides to take Kuromaru as her student, and he willingly agrees. On their way, the team runs into Yukihime's immortal organization called the UQ Holders. One of the members, named Karin, doesn't like Tota and only caters to Yukihime. The group travels to Fairyland Hall, which is their headquarters. Here they meet other holders, like Gengoro and Iku, who tell Tota and Kuromaru about the different types of immortals. As part of their induction, the boys must land a blow on the UQ holders. However, they struggle to do so as their deadline comes closer. Later, the boys help a maid named Shinobu with her tasks to pass their time. They also learn that she's the only mortal in the organization. Meanwhile, Yukihime calls back to the time when Negi had trained under her. After some snooping around, Tota and Kuromaru find themselves in the secret base of another UQ holder named Jinbei. He offers Tota a gravity sword named Kurobu, and while Tota struggles at first, the sword chooses him after revealing it can talk. Jinbei allows the boys to train in his base, and Tota eventually masters Kurobu. Then try the tests again, and Kuromaru manages to beat Gengoro by controlling his broken arm. Even Tota dominates Karin, but he stops from landing the final blow when he hears Shinobu getting attacked by monsters. He saves her, but creates a mess after overusing Kurobu's abilities. The boys are passed and welcomed into the organization, after which Yukihime orders them and Jinbei to kill all of the leftover monsters underground. The next day, Yukihime sends the boys on a mission with Karin to save some orphaned children from getting thrown out of their houses. Tota mistakenly attacks UQ members as he arrives and is made to cook for everyone after he loses at arm wrestling. Karin advises him to practice his flash tap training and he keeps himself occupied with it. Now Tota comes across a martial artist named Kaito who impresses him with his skills and agrees to teach him to flash stepping. However, we see Kaito later meeting with immortal hunters Naguma and Chao, after which we learn that he is actually a werewolf mercenary. Shadow puppets begin their attacks on the area and Chao sneaks up on Karin while she's taking a shower to catch her off guard. The shadow puppets light the city on fire to drive out the residents, so Tota and Kuromaru go to help them out. But then they are attacked by Kaito and Naguma. Kaito puts a cross seal on Tota, thus rendering him useless, after which he dominates against Kuromaru as well. Things aren't looking good for our heroes, and then an orphan named Ruki tries to stop Kaito but to no avail. Chao taunts Karin about her past as he tortures her, but she breaks free and defeats him before he gets extra creepy with his behavior. Now, Kaito is about to kill Ruki, but then Tota breaks free from his seal and saves him. He is shown to have transformed his arms, and then he beats up Kaito, after which Karin joins him in battle. As they fight, Kaito seemingly pierces Tota's heart, but he activates Magia Erebea and resurrects himself. Upon noticing this, Naguma realizes that he is only the third such person to wield this kind of power. After an excessive battle, Tota defeats Kaito, but stops himself from killing him. Kaito admits absolute defeat after Tota beats him in arm wrestling as well. Now Yukihime arrives and takes out the city's fire, after which the mercenaries run away. The team celebrates their win, and Yukihime tells Tota that he inherited Magia Erebea from her, as he drank her blood earlier. However, we see Tota being observed by fate. Kuromaru suspects that Yukihime was lying about Tota's Magia Erebea, and is also shown to be jealous of Tota's growing friendship with Shinobu. Karin questions him about his gender after seeing him naked, and we learn that Kuromaru is a genderless demi-human who will get to choose his identity once he's 16. Karin wants him to become a female so that he can seduce Tota away from Yukihime. But then Ikku drops by and proposes that Kuromaru change his appearance to that of a woman named Kuryu and date Tota so as to decide whether they can make a good couple. Tota is instantly attracted to Kuryu and they decide to go sightseeing with each other. They also visit the orbital elevator and get somewhat romantic, but are suddenly attacked by Chao and one of his assassins named Asura. They kidnap Tota, and Kuryu isn't able to do much in her female body. Seeing no other option, she becomes Kuromaru again and defeats the villains to rescue Tota, after which he gives the excuse that he took Kuryu to a safe spot. Later, Ikku and Karin arrive with a UQ holder named Kirie, who takes Tota to a private spot and berates him for not protecting her before. Tota is confused, and just as she's about to answer him, Chao arrives and kills her. Before dying, Kirie makes him hold her hand and take him back in time to her last checkpoint. Then she explains that she can restart from these checkpoints after dying just like a game. Kirie talks Tota through all her previous attempts to speak to him, and reveals that fate wants to kidnap him for some evil plan. Now, Ikku, Karin, and Kuromaru also join in on the conversation, and they plan to capture Fate using a laser satellite that will keep him distracted long enough for Kirie to transport him to a cave. Tota wants to learn more about Fate and comes across a video from Yukihime where she tells him that she, Fate, and Negi were friends at one time. But Fate became a villain after Negi died, and he cannot be trusted. The team sets up to capture Fate as he arrives, but Tota's friends are also next to him, so they don't fire the laser yet. Fate spots Tota and heads straight toward him. Now that Tota's friends are clear, Ikku tries to fire the laser at Fate, but is stopped by one of his disciples named Iwia. Fate talks to Tota and threatens to kill everyone in the area if he doesn't cooperate. But then Tota steers panic, and this allows everyone to run away from the spot. The team goes ahead and implements the plan, but they fail when Fate petrifies Kirie, after his other followers Asura and Shubu distract her. Fate and his team attack the UQ holders and a fierce battle breaks out. Tota manages to keep Fate busy long enough to allow Kirie to break free from her frozen state, and she eventually tricks Fate into getting trapped inside the cave. Yukihime also arrives at the spot and tells Fate to admit defeat, but he offers to answer everyone one question each in exchange for letting him out. The UQ holders ask away, and we learn that Negi didn't actually die. Fate also mentions that Negi can be saved using Tota's power, but then he admits to killing Tota's parents, and this makes our hero ready to attack him. However, Negi appears through a communication device and tells Tota that Fate is lying. But before he can say anything else, Kuromaru destroys the device and he vanishes. The Yuku holders let Fate escape after he answers all the questions, and it makes Kirie upset that her plan went to waste. Tota goes after Yukihime for more questions about Negi, but she doesn't respond. Now a girl named Mizore and her great-grandmother Ayaka visit the organization. Mizore fights Tota to get revenge for Negi having broken Ayaka's heart, but she also falls for him and asks for his hand in marriage. Tota refuses and she tries to win him over with food, but this only makes Shinobu, Kirie, and Kurumaru jealous. Ikkyu drops by again to suggest taking Tota to a haunted spring where they can win his heart by washing his back 50 times. Meanwhile, we learn that Yukihime and Ayaka are friends and had both romanced Negi. The girls battle it out in the spring for Tota's affection, but after a hilarious sequence of events, Yukihime arrives and washes his back 50 times. Ikkyu confesses that this was just a prank and it makes the girls upset. Later, Yukihime meets Tota in her true form and tells him about her affair with Negi. Then she mentions how Negi defeated Lalda Booth, the mage of the beginning, around 20 years ago. But this led to her soul possessing Negi, and he's been resisting her for 20 years. But time is running out. After some further questioning from Tota, Yukihime reveals that he is actually Negi's genetically modified clone. The girls take Tota to the Mahora martial arts tournament to clear his mind. Once there, he meets Ayaka and her classmates, Mana and Chachamaru. They show him around Negi's academy, where they had studied together, and introduced him to another student named Sayo, who is now a ghost. The women reassure him that he truly is Negi's grandson, even if he's just a clone. And then, Mana gets a call about some of the tournament's warriors getting injured. Due to these changes, Tota is entered into the tournament, and his first match is against a mysterious warrior named Cutlass. She calls him brother as they fight, and Tota is eventually forced to activate Magia Erebea. However, he gets trapped when Negi finally appears in the flesh. He asks Tota to join him on his way to the orbital elevator, but then Yukihime arrives. Now, Negi's team consisting of Yue, Nodoka, and Jack show up, and the teams prepare for battle. An awkward sneeze from Negi strips all the women of their clothing yet again. As they redress, Tota learns that he was the first successful creation from Negi's and Asuna's DNA after 71 failed attempts. Suddenly, Tota is snatched away by Albiero Ima, the creator of Kurobu. Ima tries to convince Tota to join Negi by showing him memories from Yukihime's love story with both Negi as well as his father, Nagi. However, this simply turns out to be a trap, as Yukihime has also been dragged into Yalda's paradise, known as Phantasmagoria. Yalda proceeds to hurt Yukihime, but Tota still refuses her offer to join her. Then he learns that Yukihime had also fallen in love with him as he tends to her injuries. Yalda attacks them both, and they fight back, but cannot do much as she is able to control everything in this simulation. Then Asuna shows up and saves them both. She takes Tota, Yukihime, and the other Yukyu holders to a safe spot, and gives everyone tips on how to beat Negi's team. She also says that Tota needs 37 seconds to activate his inner powers, which can be used to defeat Negi. Asuna sends the team back to the battlefield, and the fight finally begins. Tota faces off against Negi, and then Fate drops by to help him, and Yukihime bring Negi out of Yalda in a spirit simulation. The four of them try to discuss a strategy, but Negi concludes that the only way to stop him is to kill him. Yukihime shares an emotional moment with Negi before everyone is brought back. However, Negi proves to be too powerful for them as they fight. After a long and tiresome struggle, the Yukyu holders are down and out. Cutlass starts to torture Kirie in front of Tota, but 37 seconds are now over, and he triggers his inner powers. We learn that Tota is actually a mixture of Negi and all the other girls from his class. The women attack him in a hilarious sequence, and then Asuna shows up in the real world. She convinces Negi to withdraw for now, and he agrees, but promises to return. Later at the organization, Tota tells Yukihime that he loves her and wants to get married, so that he can cure her loneliness, but she refuses. This leads all the other girls to chase after him. And that's the end of the show. Please like, share, and subscribe for more awesome recap videos. I'll see you in the next one.